Jayson Tatum, the franchise cornerstone, the heart and soul of the Celtics, had gone down. And not just down in the way a player tweaks an ankle or hits the hardwood awkwardly and walks it off a few minutes later. No, this was different. Tatum didn't get up. He didn't try to shake it off. He didn't wave off the trainers or attempt to limp his way toward the sideline. Instead, he lay on the floor, his face twisted in pain, his hand clutched tightly to his lower right leg, and his body rolled back and forth in agony. The anguish in his eyes told the story long before any medical report could. It happened late in the fourth quarter, with the Celtics trailing the Knicks in a tightly contested Game 4 matchup. The stakes were high. Crowd was on edge. Boston needed a win to avoid falling into a 3-1 hole. Tatum, as always, was leading the charge. He had been nothing short of spectacular all night, dazzling the crowd with his precision, attacking the rim with ferocity, and drilling deep three-pointers with the confidence of a man possessed. But as the game clock wound down, chaos erupted on the court. Jaylen Brown lost the ball while maneuvering through traffic, and as it bounced loose, Tatum lunged to retrieve it. That one split-second decision, that instinctual move, would change everything. As he planted his right leg to grab the ball, something gave way. Something deep, something internal. A snap, a tear, a rupture. Whatever it was immediate and devastating. His body betrayed him in that moment, and the pain was instantaneous. There was no doubt among the Celtics players or the coaching staff. They knew. The way he fell. The way he screamed. The way the air left the arena. It all told the same story. Trainers rushed to his side as players knelt beside him. Some turned away, unable to look. Others just stood frozen. Jaylen Brown's face said it all, the grim realization settling in like a heavy fog. "We didn't say much," Brown later recalled, his voice low, his eyes still clouded with disbelief. Felt like there wasn't a lot to say. Obviously, Tatum, everybody's concerned with him. He paused for a long moment before adding, "Tonight is tough. I think everybody is kind of at a loss for words." And how could they not be? Tatum wasn't just another player. He wasn't a role player or a sixth man or even just a star. He was the guy. The Celtics' leader. The man they had built their entire roster around. The engine behind every big win. The face of their franchise. He had been on a tear in this game, pouring in 42 points on a masterclass shooting performance, 16 of 28 from the field, 7 of 16 from beyond the arc. He had added 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals, and even 2 blocks. It was the kind of performance that legends are made of, the kind of night you look back on and say, that's when he took over. Except now, the narrative had turned on its head. That night wasn't about ascension. It was about loss. The team announced the following day what most feared. Tatum had torn his right Achilles tendon. He had already undergone surgery. The timeline for recovery? Uncertain but grim. Most likely, he would miss the entire following season. A year, maybe more, of absence from the game he had come to define in Boston. The words hit like a punch to the chest for Celtics fans. It wasn't just about missing games. It was about missing Tatum, his presence, his leadership, his artistry on the court. It was about losing hope, even if just temporarily. Jaylen Brown tried to hold it together in front of the media. He tried to be stoic, tried to say the right things. But the cracks were there. The emotional weight hung heavy in the room. For a player who had grown up alongside Tatum, both figuratively and literally, the pain was deeply personal. Two had been through wars together, on and off the court. Playoff battles, media criticism, high expectations, locker room dramas, they had survived it all, shoulder to shoulder. And now, for the foreseeable future, Brown would have to do it alone. "I got no words right now," Brown said when asked about what comes next. None. Around the league, reactions poured in. Players from other teams, rivals, competitors, even those in the midst of their own playoff runs, sent messages of support. Jalen Brunson, who had played a huge role in the Knicks' win that night, was one of the first to speak. "Obviously, we want to go out there and compete," Brunson said. "But when a player of his caliber goes down and he is rolling in pain, you know something is wrong. That's why I gave my thoughts and prayers, because you don't want to see something like that ever." Karl Anthony Towns, who wasn't even in the building that night, still felt the impact. He shared his thoughts shortly after the news broke. "I just put my head down and prayed to my mother, prayed to God to put protection over him and comfort," he said solemnly. "The NBA needs that kind of superstar talent that he is. I know we're competing at the highest level in the playoffs, but this is a brotherhood." And that brotherhood felt the loss as much as anyone in Boston did. Tatum wasn't just a scorer or a highlight machine. He was a figure of consistency, of excellence. He represented the grind, the daily work it takes to become great and stay great. He was the kid who'd grown up idolizing Kobe Bryant and modeled every move, every mindset, every step of his game around that blueprint. And now, like Kobe before him, he'd faced the long, painful recovery from one of basketball's most feared injuries. Achilles tears are not just physically taxing, they're mentally brutal. The road back is long. It's filled with doubt, with pain, with moments where the player has to relearn how to trust his own body again. Some players return and never find that same explosiveness. Others, like Kevin Durant, have managed to come back and dominate. Question now hovering over Tatum, and by extension the entire Celtics organization, was which category he'd fall into. But that was a question for tomorrow. For today, all anyone could feel was the sting of loss. Celtics coach Joe Mazzulla didn't want to speculate about the future just yet. His face was drawn, his eyes weary. "Right now, we're just thinking about JT," he said during the post-game press conference. "That's our focus. Everything else, we'll figure it out when we have to. But tonight it's about him." The locker room, usually buzzing with the sounds of post-game chatter, was dead silent. Players sat with their heads down. Staff members moved slowly, as if in mourning. There was no music, no jokes, no laughter. Only the somber realization that the future they had dreamed of together, the championship run they had all believed in, might be on pause. Or worse, it might have slipped away entirely. Outside the arena, Celtics fans gathered with signs, some in tears. Social media exploded with heartbreak. Prayers for Tatum began trending. Video clips of his best moments, his 50-point games, his buzzer beaters, his playoff heroics, were shared with captions like "Come back stronger" and "This isn't the end." It was a digital vigil, a massive outpouring of love and support for a man who had carried Boston's hopes on his shoulders since he first donned that green and white jersey. For the Knicks, the win pushed them to a commanding 3-1 series lead. They were one step closer to eliminating a powerful rival. But even their celebration felt muted. Players knew that Tatum's absence would cast a long shadow over the rest of the series, and perhaps the entire postseason. There was no real joy in seeing an opponent fall that way. Some fans questioned whether the Celtics could bounce back. Could Jaylen Brown elevate his game to fill the massive void? Could Derek White, Drew Holiday, and Kristaps Porzingis rise to the occasion? Would Joe Mazzulla have the strategic chops to keep the team together through adversity? The answer to all those questions was unclear. The only certainty was that nothing would ever be quite the same, not this season and perhaps not for seasons to come. Jayson Tatum's injury wasn't just a loss of talent. It was the loss of momentum, of rhythm, of a dream carefully built piece by piece over years of hard work. The Celtics had bet everything on this core. They had committed to this team, extended contracts, shuffled pieces, made sacrifices, all for a title shot. And now, at the most crucial juncture, their leader was gone.